Dua Lipa, born August 22, 1995, is an English and Albanian singer, songwriter, and actress. Personal life. Lipa's first name Dua was her grandmother's suggestion and means love in Albanian. She is occasionally affectionately referred to as Dua Lipa by fans, which originated as a mispronunciation by American talk show host Wendy Williams in 2018. Since then, she has positively embraced the nickname. Lipa's native language is Albanian. She was born and grew up mostly in London, and has a London accent when speaking English. Despite this, she can speak her native language fluently and described her dual identity as her strength. Lipa has described herself as an honorary Liverpool supporter, after her song One Kiss was adopted by the football club's fans in the wake of her performance at the 2018 UEFA Champions League final, since becoming a Reds anthem after significant Liverpool victories. On November 27, 2022, Lipa was granted Albanian citizenship by President Badrum Begaj, one day before the country's 110th independence celebrations. From June 2019 to December 2021, Lipa was in a relationship with American model Anwar Hadid. Since January 2024, Lipa has been dating British actor Callum Turner. Lipa was included in the Sunday Times Rich list for 2024 with an estimated net worth of £90 million. Early life. Dua Lipa was born on 22 August 1995, in London, the eldest child of Kosovo-Albanian parents Inessa, née Reksa, and Dekagjan Lipa from Pristina, FR Yugoslavia, present-day Kosovo. Her maternal grandmother is of Bosniak descent. Lipa's ancestry can be traced back to the city of Peja, Kosovo. Both of her grandfathers were historians. She has a sister, Rina, and a brother, Jin. Lipa was musically influenced by her father, who is the lead singer and guitarist of the Kosovan rock band Oda. Her father continued to play music at home, including his own compositions and songs of artists such as David Bowie, Bob Dylan, Radiohead, Sting, The Police, and Stereophonics. Dua Lipa began singing at the age of 5. Lipa grew up in West Hampstead, London. She attended Fitzjohn's Primary School and her music lessons there included the cello. When she auditioned to enter the school choir, the teacher told her that she could not sing. At the age of 9, she began weekend singing lessons at the Sylvia Young Theatre School. Lipa moved with her family to Pristina after Kosovo declared independence in 2008. There she attended Millenniumi I Treat School, learned more about the Albanian language, and considered a music career. At age 15, Lipa moved back alone to London and shared a flat with a family friend. At Parliament Hill School she passed her A-levels, then re-entered Sylvia Young Theatre School part-time. She uploaded her own songs to SoundCloud and YouTube. She began posting videos of herself covering songs such as If I Ain't Got You, 2004, by Alicia Keys and Beautiful, 2002, by Christina Aguilera on YouTube. Lipa modeled with Topshop and signed with a modeling agency, helping her land a role as a singer in an ITV advertisement for the X Factor in 2013, covering Sister Sledge's 1979 song Lost in Music. She acquired a producer and a manager. Career. 2013 to 2018, Career Beginnings and Dua Lipa. Lipa in 2016. In 2013, Lipa signed a contract with Tap Management, directed by Ben Mawson and Ed Millett, while working as a waitress in a cocktail bar. Lipa was introduced to Mawson by her lawyer, who discouraged her from signing another publishing deal that was offered to her. They then offered her a monthly salary to leave her job and focus on recording music. During one of the sessions, Lipa co-wrote the song Hotter Than Hell, which led to her signing a record deal with Warner Brothers Records in 2014. Millett retrospectively elaborated, Dua was really smart. She signed to Warner Brothers partly because they didn't have a big female pop artist and they needed one. They really wanted her, so she had the focus of the team from day one. In August 2015, Lipa released her first single, New Love, produced by Emile Haney and Andrew Wyatt. Her second single, Be the One, was issued to European success in October 2015, reaching number 1 in Belgium, Poland, and Slovakia, as well as charting in the top 10 in over 11 European territories. In Australia and New Zealand, the song became an airplay success, reaching numbers 6 and 20 respectively. In November 2015, she was revealed as one of the acts to appear on the BBC Sound of 2016 long list. We've seen artists who might get half a good song out of 10 writing sessions. With Dua, 1 in 5 or 1 in 4 is a banger. She gets results out of other people as well, because her personality is so engaging and she is so charismatic. She definitely has that special something. Ben Mawson on Lipa's songwriting. Her first tour in the UK and Europe began in January 2016 and concluded in early December 2016. On February 18, 2016, Lipa released her third single, Last Dance, followed by Hotter Than Hell on May 6. The latter was successful particularly in the UK, where it peaked at number 15. On August 26, her fifth overall single, Blow Your Mind, Moi, was released, peaking at number 30 in the UK. It became the singer's first entry on the US Billboard Hot 100. Debuting at number 72. The song also topped the Billboard Dance Club Songs chart and reached number 23 on the Billboard Mainstream Top 40 chart. Lipa was featured on Sean Paul's single No Lie, released in November 2016, which reached number 10 in the UK. The song became a top 10 hit in 10 countries 6 years after its release, and it became Sean Paul's most streamed song as of December 2022. The music video, directed by Tim Nakashi, surpassed 1 billion views on YouTube in April 2022. The following month, a documentary about Lipa named Sea in Blue was commissioned by the Fader. In January 2017, Lipa won the EBBA Public Choice Award and released the single Scared to Be Lonely, a collaboration with Martin Garrix, reaching number 14 in the UK. In May 2017, she performed at the anniversary of Indonesian television channel SCTV and won the award for Young and Promising International Artist at the SCTV Music Awards. Lipa's first album Dua Lipa was released on 2 June 2017. Its sixth single, New Rules, released in the following month, became Lipa's first number 1 in the UK, and the first by a female solo artist to reach the top in the UK since Adele's Hello in 2015. Her best-selling single to date, the song also charted in the top 10 of other countries, including number 2 in Australia, number 6 in the US, and number 7 in Canada. As of 2024, the music video has streamed over 3 billion views on YouTube. Lipa performed at the Glastonbury Festival in June. In July, Lipa performed at the We The Fest, an Indonesian music festival in Jakarta. She performed on the BBC's Later, with Jules Holland in October. In December, Lipa was named the most streamed woman of 2017 in the UK by Spotify. She had 4 singles reach the UK top 10 in 2017, with Be the One, New Rules, No Lie, and Bridge Over Troubled Water, a charity single for the families of the victims of the Grenfell Tower fire in London. Lipa at the Hollywood Palladium in February 2018. In January 2018, Lipa received nominations in 5 categories at the Brit Awards, more nominations than any other artist that year. She was nominated for MasterCard British Album of the Year for Dua Lipa, British Single of the Year and British Video of the Year for New Rules, British Female Solo Artist, and British Breakthrough Act, winning the latter 2. This was the first time that a female artist had received 5 nominations. Lipa performed at the awards ceremony held on February 21 at the O2 Arena in London. The singer collaborated with American DJ Weathen on the song High for the 50 Shades Freed soundtrack, released in February 2018. She started working on new material for her second album in January 2018. On April 6, Lipa and Calvin Harris released the single One Kiss, which topped the UK singles chart on April 20, making it Lipa's second number 1 in the chart. Lipa provided the vocals and is also credited as a writer. The single went on to become the biggest-selling song in the UK of 2018 and topped the chart for 8 consecutive weeks. She performed in the opening ceremony of the 2018 UEFA Champions League final in Kiev on 26 May. It was reported that Lipa would be releasing collaborations with other artists coming out later in 2018, such as one with Mark Ronson and Diplo's newly formed superduo Silk City. Ronson later confirmed the song's title would be Electricity. The song was released on September 9. Lipa was also featured in If Only, a song from Italian singer Andrea Bocelli's 16th studio album C. Lipa performed at the F1 Singapore Grand Prix in September. In the same month, Lipa endorsed British car brand Jaguar's new electric car, I-Pace. The brand created a remix of Lipa's song Want To and launched a service where fans could create their own version of Dua Lipa x Jaguar's song on the Join the Pace website, based on their own driving behavior or the music they listen to, and share it on social media. According to Lipa's team, Jaguar and Lipa set the world record for the most remixed song ever. In October, the singer released Dua Lipa, the Complete Edition, an expanded version of her debut album that includes 3 new songs, including the aforementioned Want To, and her previous collaborations with other artists. This included a collaboration with South Korean girl group Blackpink called Kiss and Make Up. 2019 to 2022, Future Nostalgia. In January 2019, Lipa released the single Swan Song as part of the soundtrack to the 2019 film Alita, Battle Angel. That same month, Lipa stated that she spent the preceding year in the writing process for her second studio album. Lipa commented that the album's sound would be a nostalgic pop record that feels like a dancer sees class. In August 2019, Lipa partnered with brand Yves Saint Laurent to endorse their fragrance Libra. Following the release of its lead single Don't Start Now, Lipa's second album, Future Nostalgia, and its accompanying tour were announced in December 2019. Don't Start Now peaked at number 2 on both the UK singles chart and the US Billboard Hot 100. On the former, it earned the longest top 10 stay for a British female artist and the longest top 10 stay without reaching the summit in that chart's history. The song also peaked at number 1 on the UK Big Top 40 and the US Billboard Mainstream Top 40 chart. Lipa's second single leading up to the release of the album was Physical. It was released on January 30, 2020, and the song's music video was released a day later. Physical debuted at number 60 on the US Billboard Hot 100. Future Nostalgia was released on March 27 to widespread critical acclaim, following the release of the record's third single, Break My Heart, on 25 March. The album debuted at number 2 on the official UK albums chart, 5,550 copies behind 5 Seconds of Summer's Calm. Future Nostalgia peaked at number 1 on the official UK albums chart the following week in April 2020, while 4 of the album's singles entered the top 10 of the official singles chart. The album holds the record for having the lowest one-week sales while at the top of the chart in the 21st century. When it was number 1 the week beginning 15 May 2020, the album had only 7,317 sales. At the time of the album's release, Lipa became the first British female artist since Vera Lynn to have 3 top 10 singles in a single calendar year, with Lynn having 3 in 1952. Lipa eventually overrode this record with the single Levitating, which also peaked within the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, becoming her third top 10 in the US overall. Lipa's music video for Physical was nominated for Best Art Director at the Berlin Music Video Awards in 2020. The art director of the music video is Anna Kolomer-Nogue. On April 27, 2020, DJ Ben Howell released a remix of her song Hallucinate with the BBC News theme, created during the height of the coronavirus lockdown in his flat in Glasgow, Scotland. The remix has garnered more than 1 million views on YouTube as of July 2023. It was pleasantly received by both Lipa and BBC Radio 1 DJ Greg James, the latter quipping on Twitter, "Ben's made you, the BBC, a new theme tune and it's a certified banger. Please change with immediate effect." On August 11, 2020, she was named Global Ambassador of the French mineral water brand Evian. Lipa made the announcement on social media, where she stated that it had been an honor working with the brand. On August 13, Lipa released a remix of Levitating featuring American artists Madonna and Missy Elliott. It served as the lead single from Club Future Nostalgia, a remix collection of Future Nostalgia tracks by the blessed Madonna and Mark Ronson, which was released on 28 August. On October 2, 2020, Lipa released the second remix of Levitating featuring American rapper DaBaby. On the same day, Lipa released the music video for the second remix. On October 14, 2020, Lipa and Belgian singer Angeli were photographed on the set of a music video. Later in the month, the singers announced the release of their collaboration, Fever. It was released on 30 October 2020. It is included on the French re-release of Future Nostalgia. Lipa was featured on Prisoner, a song from Miley Cyrus' 7th studio album Plastic Hearts. The single was released on November 19, 2020 alongside the music video. In November it was announced that Lipa would be the musical guest on December 19 episode of Saturday Night Live. On November 27, Lipa performed in a live-stream concert titled Studio 2054, where she sang various songs from Future Nostalgia, a new unreleased track with FKA Twigs, as well as some previous singles such as New Rules, One Kiss and Electricity. The event featured many special guests like the blessed Madonna, Angeli, Kylie Minogue and Elton John, among others. Future Nostalgia was the most streamed album by a woman, and 5th most streamed album overall, on Spotify in 2020. Lipa performing at the O2 Arena, London in May 2022. On February 11, 2021, Lipa released a single titled We're Good, along with Future Nostalgia, the Moonlight Edition. On February 26, 2021, Elena Tilke released her debut English-language single Retrograde, co-written by Lipa. Lipa released the song Can They Hear Us from the soundtrack of the film Gully on 4 June 2021. On August 13, 2021, Lipa worked again with Elton John on the song Cold Heart, Pinyao Remix, released as the lead single from John's studio album The Lockdown Sessions. On 15 October, the single reached the #1 spot on the UK singles chart, becoming Lipa's third song to achieve this feat. In February 2022, Lipa launched a weekly lifestyle newsletter entitled Service 95 as well as its accompanying podcast Dua Lipa, at your service. On February 18, 2022, a source close to the issue confirmed to Variety that Dua Lipa had parted ways with her longtime management business, Ben Mawson and Ed Millett's Tap Management. Contrary to other reports, the insider claims that the singer is not currently meeting with other management firms, but she will do so in the future. On March 1, 2022, reggae band Article Sound System filed a suit against Lipa and her label Warner Records alleging copyright infringement, asserting similarities between Levitating and their 2017 song Live Your Life. In June 2023, the suit was dropped with prejudice. A second suit by songwriters L. Russell Brown and Sandy Linzer claimed that Levitating infringed on their 1979 disco song Wiggle and Giggle All Night. On March 11, 2022, Lipa and Megan Thee Stallion released Sweetest Pie accompanied by its music video. The song marks their first collaboration and serves as the lead single from Megan's second studio album Traumazine. On May 27, Lipa collaborated with Calvin Harris and Young Thug to release Potion, serving as the lead single from Harris's sixth studio album Funk Wave Bounces Volume 2. It marked the second collaboration between Harris and Lipa following their 2018 single One Kiss. 2023 present, acting debut and radical optimism. Lipa at the Glastonbury Festival on June 28, 2024. On May 26, 2023, Lipa released Dance the Night as the lead single of the Barbie film soundtrack. Lipa made her acting debut in the movie, portraying mermaid Barbie. In November 2023, Lipa acquired full ownership of all her songs, music, and publishing rights, in a new deal she completed with her former music publishers, Tap Music. The deal included all of her master recordings from her entire music catalog, which by February 2024, had reached 40 billion streams. On November 9, 2023, Lipa released the lead single from her third studio album titled Houdini. On the day of its release, she said that Kevin Parker, who produced the song with Danny L. Harrell, was among her core collaborators on the album. Spin referred to Harrell as the co-producer of the record. The follow-up singles, Training Season and Illusion, were released on February 15, 2024 and April 11, 2024, respectively. The album titled Radical Optimism followed on 3 May 2024. She continued her acting career with a starring role in the 2024 spy action comedy Argylle. In March 2024, Dua Lipa announced she would do a short tour of European arenas in June of the same year. She performed at the Arena of Nîmes, the Waldbahn in Berlin and the Pula Arena, all of which are amphitheaters. In June, she headlined at Glastonbury Festival 2024, closing the festival's Pyramid stage on 28 June. On March 18, 2024, Lipa announced the Radical Optimism Tour, a concert tour in support of the album. On October 17, she performed at the Royal Albert Hall in London, where she sang her biggest hits and songs from her latest studio album. A remix of These Walls featuring Belgian singer Pierre de Mer was released as the fourth single from Radical Optimism on 8 November 2024. On November 19, she announced the release of her first live album titled Dua Lipa Live from the Royal Albert Hall for December 6. Fashion ventures. Lipa has been the cover girl of several magazines. She signed with Next Models. She was in the cover of the Boom Boom Tick editorial for Elle's January 2016 issue. In April 2016 she was again in an editorial of Elle. She was on a supplemental cover of British Vogue in November 2016. She starred an editorial for the January 2017 issue of V. In the same month, she was on the cover for issue 102 of Clash. In March 2017, she became a global ambassador for the American shoe company, Foot Locker, to present women's collections offered by the brand. She was in an editorial for Interview released in April 2017. She modeled for an editorial of Paper, published on 6 June 2017. She was featured in the summer 2017 issue of Teen Vogue in an editorial titled Fine Tuned. She was in an editorial for June 2017 issue of InStyle. She was in an editorial called Game Changers for Fall 2017 issue of V. She was in the Fall-Winter 2017-18 advertising campaign of the Italian brand Patricia Pape, as well as recorded a cover of the song Bang Bang, My Baby Shot Me Down, 1966, as a soundtrack for the commercial for the said campaign. She was on the cover and appeared in an editorial for November 2017 issue of Evening Standard. In the same month, she released her second collaboration with the brand Foot Locker for Autumn/Winter Collection. In January 2018, she was part of a promotional clip for an Adidas Originals campaign called Original Is Never Finished. She was on the cover of April 2018 issue of Teen Vogue. She was on one of the covers for issue 113 of V entitled The Music Issue, published in May 2018 as a limited edition. She partnered with the fashion brand Niden on a project to create 4 clothing collections, but it failed and Lipa discontinued her work with the brand. She was on the cover of British GQ for May 2018 issue. She was in the cover for May 2018 issue of Turkish edition of Vogue. She was in the cover for June 2018 issue of British edition of Elle. In October 2018, she was part of an Adidas campaign called Here to Create, in which she wore brand clothes. She appeared in a Billboard editorial called Grammy Preview alongside Post Malone and Ella Mike. She starred the cover for January 2019 issue of British Vogue in an editorial called Youthquake. She was the image for the Peppa Jeans London Spring/Summer 2019 collection campaign, settling down as the first musician to be global ambassador for the brand. Months later, she launched her first ever capsule with the same brand for the Autumn/Winter collection, where she designed clothing inspired by the fashion of the 90s and early 2000s. She had spent part of her childhood in London and remembered her mother talking to her in a Peppa Jeans store in Portobello Road. The collection included chainmail dresses, casual denim outfits and garments based on Lipa's style, released in September 2019. Lipa was on the cover of the May 2019 issue of Elle. She starred one of the 4 covers in the first issue and an editorial of the relaunch of The Face, released in September 2019. She was the cover girl of the October 2019 issue and an editorial for the Spanish edition of Vogue. She starred in a Vogue sitcom clip set in the 90s titled Dua's World, where she wore the best collections of New York Fashion Week. She released her second design collaboration with Peppa Jeans London for Spring/Summer 2020 collection, inspired by the fashion of late 1980s and early 1990s, whose collection included oversized blazers, cropped knitwear, bodycon dresses, and metallic miniskirts. She was on the cover in an editorial called True to Form for April 2020 issue of Vogue Australia. She appeared in a Rolling Stone editorial published in April 2020 to discuss about her second studio album Future Nostalgia 2020. She was on the cover of the Elle May 2020 issue and an editorial titled Dua Lipa Gets Physical, and months later she was in the cover for its Canadian and British edition. She was the cover girl for June 2020 issue of GQ on its British edition. She was on one of 2 covers for W's The Music issue, published in September 2020. Lipa released her third design collaboration with Peppa Jeans London for Autumn/Winter 2020 collection, and she stated that it would be her last collaboration with the brand, called Denim Decades, which was inspired by every decade since Peppa Jeans started selling denim. In November 2020, she signed a multi-year partnership with Puma, becoming the global ambassador of the brand. She was on the cover for December 2020 issue of Attitude. She appeared on the cover for February 2021 issue of British Vogue. In the same month, she was protagonist of the cover for issue 1348 of Rolling Stone. She was on the cover for the March 2021 issue of Time, representing the 100 Next list about the future 100 most influential people in the world. In the same month, she appeared on the cover of the New York Times music issue. She designed her outfit at the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards red carpet, featuring a dress in collaboration with the brand Versace, inspired by the Aurora Borealis. She was in a Puma brand campaign called She Moves Us, in which she designed a shoe called Maze, released in April 2021. In June 2021, Lipa was announced as the face of Versace's Fall/Winter 2021 campaign. Dress style and endorsements. Lipa at the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards 2021. Dua Lipa has been described by the media as a fashion icon. For a Versace dress in Bulgari diamonds, she was rated as one of the best-dressed celebrities of the 61st Annual Grammy Awards ceremony by various media. For her Alexander Wang dress with 90s style, she was rated as one of the best-dressed celebrities of the 62nd Annual Grammy Awards ceremony. For a Versace dress in Bulgari jewelry, she was rated as one of the best-dressed celebrities of the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards ceremony. She released a limited edition lip gloss called Cream Sheen Glass in collaboration with MAC Cosmetics for its campaign called Future Forward. She became the face of a perfume called Libre for Yves Saint Laurent campaign launched in September 2019, for which she recorded a promo cover of the song I'm Free, 1965, featured in advertisements for Lipa's campaigns with the brand. Later she was the face of a new version of the same perfume called Libra Intense. She became an ambassador for the mineral water brand Evian in July 2020. In March 2021 she performed in a cappella of her song Levitating, 2020, for an advertisement for the Drink True campaign of the brand Evian. In February 2024, Dua Lipa was promoted to global ambassador for YSL Beauty. Previously, she had been the face of the Libra fragrance since 2019. Her appointment to global ambassador followed a wipe of the YSL Beauty Instagram account. Modeling. She made her runway debut at Versace's Spring-Summer 2022 show at Milan Fashion Week, which was soundtracked by tracks from her album Future Nostalgia, 2020. Artistry and influences. The media have described Lipa as having a mezzo-soprano or contralto vocal range. Her music is primarily pop, and has also been described as disco, house, and R&B. Stylistically, her music has been described as dance pop, synth pop, dream pop, alternative pop, and new disco subgenres. She describes her musical style as being dark pop. She is also noted for singing in a distinct, husky, low register and her sultry tone. Regarding her songwriting process, Lipa states she usually comes to the studio with a concept and starts developing the song with her co-writers. She cites Kylie Minogue, Pink, Nelly Furtado, Jamiroquai, Kendrick Lamar, and Chance the Rapper among her musical influences. My idea of pop has been Pink and Christina Aguilera and Destiny's Child and Nelly Furtado, said Lipa in a GQ interview in 2018. Her second studio album Future Nostalgia, 2020, was inspired by artists that she listened to during her teens, including Gwen Stefani, Madonna, Maloko, Blondie and Outkast. Lipa's stage presence was met with criticism in the early stages of her career. A YouTube comment on her performance of New Rules at the 2018 Brit Awards saying, "I love her lack of energy, go girl give us nothing," became an internet meme, subjecting Lipa to ridicule. Lipa credited this criticism as motivation to improve her stage presence. Impact. A study conducted by the Office for National Statistics revealed that the number of people born with the name Dua in England and Wales was 63 in 2017, the year Lipa earned her first UK #1 song with New Rules. This increased to 126 in 2019 in May 2018. She was included on British Vogue's inaugural list of the 25 most influential British women of 2018, with Lipa being the youngest on the list at the age of 22. Its review said her 2017 song New Rules is an anthem of female empowerment that laid out a blueprint for modern sex lives and described her as being a culture definer. Lindsay Havens from Billboard credited Lipa as being the protagonist in disco's revival in 2020 through her song Don't Start Now, 2019. People called her the future of pop due to the success of her sophomore album, Future Nostalgia. She inspired the French photographer Hugo Kant in his first photo book. She was included in Time's 100 Next list on Future 100 World's Most Influential People by Australian singer Kylie Minogue, who in her review called Lipa a shining star. Mark Sutherland and Jem Aswad from Variety rated Lipa as being one of the most impactful women in the global entertainment industry. Several wax figures of Dua Lipa are found at Madame Tussauds wax museums in major cities around the world. Accolades and achievements. Main article, list of awards and nominations received by Dua Lipa. Lipa has received several accolades throughout her career, including 7 Brit Awards from 19 nominations, 3 Grammy Awards from 10 nominations, 2 MTV Video Music Award from 23 nominations, 2 MTV Europe Music Awards from 16 nominations, 2 American Music Award from 7 nominations, 3 iHeartRadio Music Award from 19 nominations, 9 Spotify 1 billion streams plaques, and 1 Bambi Award. Lipa has received 2 Guinness World Records, in 2020 for most tickets sold for a live-streamed concert by a solo female artist, and in 2021 for most monthly listeners on Spotify for a female artist, but without surpassing the all-time peak achieved by Ariana Grande the year prior. Dua Lipa won the Top Dance/Electronic Song Award at the 2024 Billboard Music Awards for her track Houdini, which topped the Hot Dance/Electronic Songs chart for 17 weeks. Due to her ongoing Radical Optimism tour, Dua accepted the award via a pre-recorded video message, thanking fans for their support and expressing her gratitude. She competed against artists like Ariana Grande and Marshmello for this honor. Dua also teased upcoming tour stops, inviting fans to continue celebrating with her. Time magazine included her in its list of the 100 most influential people in the world in 2024. Activism. Political views and advocacy. Lipa raising an LGBT flag in a presentation at the Hollywood Palladium in Los Angeles in 2018. Lipa identifies as a feminist. She has spoken out against sexism within the music industry, using social media to raise awareness of women's problems. Lipa has advocated for social equality for the LGBT community. On February 12, 2018, she raised a rainbow flag while performing her song Be the One in a presentation at the Hollywood Palladium in Los Angeles as part of the self-titled tour. On the 2018 Brit Awards red carpet, she wore a white rose dress in support of Time's Up movement. Additionally, at the same event, she stated in her acceptance speech for an award her delight at having women present in these stages and more women winning awards. She explained that her perception of feminism is not about misandry, but demanding the same opportunities. In September 2018, some fans were removed by security from a Lipa concert in the National Exhibition and Convention Center of Shanghai for allegedly waving rainbow flags, despite homosexuality being decriminalized in China in 1997. Response: Lipa said she was proud of and grateful to the people who showed their pride at the show. In November 2018, Lipa expressed dissatisfaction over the withdrawal of the United Kingdom from the European Union due to Brexit because, according to her personal experience, no refugee leaves their country without having to. In June 2019, she made public her support for the ongoing Sudanese transition to democracy on social media by sharing a blue image that showed the phrase "Stand with Sudan," where she detailed her rejection of the Khartoum massacre, writing about all women, men, and children fighting for a peaceful transition to democracy. She said the event was an attempt to inflict brutal murder and rape by government forces on those who try to call for democracy, a violation of the freedom rights of Sudanese citizens for blocking their internet and a violation of human rights. In December of the same year, Lipa endorsed the Labour Party led by Jeremy Corbyn in the 2019 United Kingdom general election, comparing the policies of both Labour and Conservatives on various issues on social media and affirming that it was the most important election in a generation. She characterized Boris Johnson's victory in the election as a total disaster for the UK. She participated in a short film for an initiative called Global Feminism, directed by Annie Lennox as The Circle in association with Apple Music and released on March 7, 2019 ahead of International Women's Day. The clip intended to raise awareness of misogyny, rape, and violence against women. In April 2019, she showed her support for LGBT rights in Brunei by calling for a boycott against the hotel interests of the Sultan of Brunei, Hassan al-Bolkiah, after a penal code punishing homosexuality with death came into force in Brunei. During a Billboard Women in Music event, she used her Powerhouse Award acceptance speech to highlight that women still have a lot to do for real equality, in which she also complained about the lack of diversity among the artists of the Billboard Hot 100 and asked for the continued encouragement to all the young girls out there to be the powerhouses of the future. Lipa was the headliner party host for the 2020 Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras Parade, and was part of the parade, before performing several songs. In July 2020, she signed an open letter to the UK government, being received by the then Minister for Women and Equalities, Liz Truss, to request the banning of conversion therapy. Lipa is in favor of universal health care and wondered why people were not protesting about it. In addition, she said that in her country of birth, the United Kingdom, the National Health Service is considered a right. In June 2020, Lipa shared an Instagram post that criticized the Israel Defense Forces' treatment of Palestinians and showed Israeli soldiers detaining Palestinian minors. The post also referred to fake Jews in the Israeli government and fake Christians in the Midwest, United States, who it said had created Hamas for people to believe that Hamas is the reason for the decades worth of occupation, oppression, ethnic cleansing, and murder. An Turtsa petition signed by over 3,000 people was sent to the Israeli Minister of Defense, Benny Gantz, and the Israeli Minister of Culture and Sport, Hilly Tropper, demanding that Lipa's songs be banned from Israeli army radio and Galgalatz due to what Turtsa said was the incitement against IDF soldiers, the anti-Semitism, the blood libel, conspiracy theories, and the blatant lies in the post shared by Lipa. In response, the army radio said that Galgalatz does not boycott any artist and the songs are chosen at the discretion of the editors of each segment. In July 2020, Lipa supported a campaign called Let the Music Play, in which she signed an open letter sent to the then Culture Secretary, Oliver Dowden, calling for support from the Government of the United Kingdom for the UK's live music industry's economic loss under the COVID-19 pandemic. On July 18, 2020, Lipa shared a post on her Instagram story explaining why Kosovo is not and will never be Serbia, urging followers to sign a petition which called for Apple to include Kosovo in its mapping services as an independent state. The next day, she published on her social media an image of a banner containing an iridescent map of Greater Albania that reflected parts of Albania, Kosovo, Serbia, Greece, and North Macedonia as one nation, appended with the definition of the word autochthonous. As the banner is commonly associated with extreme Albanian nationalism, she received a backlash on social media, where she was accused of ethnic nationalism and fascism. She later said that her post had been misinterpreted by people who promote ethnic separatism, an ideology that she completely rejects. In August, she urged her Instagram followers to vote against Donald Trump in the 2020 United States presidential election. After endorsing and campaigning for U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders in the 2020 Democratic primaries, Lipa expressed support for Joe Biden to become the U.S. president at a virtual event aimed at Albanian Americans later that year during the general election season, arguing that the Kosovars owed support to Biden because he was against the massacre and ethnic cleansing of Albanians by having supported the NATO bombing of Yugoslavia in January 2021. She published a call to her Instagram followers to encourage Kosovo citizens to vote in the 2021 Kosovan parliamentary election. In May 2021, after expressing solidarity for the death of Palestinian civilians due to the Israel-Palestine crisis, Lipa criticized the New York Times for publishing an advertisement characterizing her, along with Bella and Gigi Hadid, as anti-Semitic. In July 2021, through her Sunny Hill Foundation, Lipa joined an initiative that was launched by the municipality of Tirana, called Adopt a Kindergarten. The aim of the project was to reconstruct a kindergarten that was severely damaged by the 2019 Albania earthquake. She said, "The kindergarten will be very beautiful and I am very proud that Sunny Hill Foundation is a part of it. Let's see better things for our country. I am very proud to be Albanian." The kindergarten was completed in October 2021 and was named Sunny Hill Kindergarten. Lipa has also continuously raised awareness to the detrimental consequences of the Taliban takeover of 2021 in Afghanistan through her social media and her lifestyle newsletter service 95. In August 2022, Lipa was named an honorary ambassador of Kosovo by the President of Kosovo, Vjosa Osmani. In response, Lipa wrote that it was an honor and a privilege to be able to represent my country all over the world and that she supports the right of Kosovans to visa liberalization, freedom to travel and to dream big. On November 13, 2022, Lipa dismissed reports that she was to perform at the opening ceremony of that year's FIFA World Cup and denied ever being involved in any negotiation to perform, calling out the tournament's host country of Qatar for human rights violations. In October 2023, Lipa signed an open letter for the Artists for Ceasefire campaign alongside 185 other artists, urging President Biden to push for a ceasefire and an end to the killing of civilians amid the 2023 Israeli invasion of the Gaza Strip, and for a corridor into Gaza to be established for humanitarian aid. In November 2023, Israeli music duo Ness and Stilla released the single Harba Darbu, which called for Lipa's death. Philanthropy. She and her father, Dukagjan, co-created the Sunny Hill Foundation in 2016 to raise funds to help people in Kosovo experiencing financial difficulties. In August 2018, Dua Lipa organized a festival to raise money for the foundation called the Sunny Hill Festival. The then mayor of Pristina, Shpendamiri, awarded her the Pristina Key, the first time one had been awarded. Lipa went on to host the festival for the second year in 2019, with Miley Cyrus included as part of the performer line-up. In mid-November 2018, Lipa was part of a campaign organized by UNICEF called Go Blue in support of children's rights. On the occasion of World Children's Day, November 20th, her contribution consisted of a short video about dressing in blue or displaying the color blue, with her in a studio re-recording the lyrics of her song Be the One, 2015. She changed the word red to blue in the song for the occasion. In December 2018, Lipa participated in a benefit concert for the Ellie Goulding's Streets of London annual charity event at Wembley Arena, which funds specialist support for people who are homeless in London and raises awareness about homelessness. In April 2019, she became a UNICEF supporter during a 3-day visit to a camp for refugee children and youth in Beirut, Lebanon. The camp included many uprooted by the conflict in Syria who did not have adequate health care or education, and Lipa also visited young Palestinians and Syrians in Burj El Barajna refugee camp. She subsequently supported a campaign by her management company with a plan to raise £100,000 to help raise awareness of charities such as the Black Dog and Calm. She asked for a better mental health care for artists in creative industries, as she was shocked to read that suicide rates amongst women working in the arts are almost 70% higher than in the world population. Lipa described mental health as the issue of our generation. On November 26, 2019, following the 2019 Albania earthquake, Lipa asked fans for donations and support for victims. To raise funds, she co-released a limited edition line of t-shirts called Pray for Albania in collaboration with Albanian fashion designers. All of the proceeds went to families and victims affected by the seismic event. On March 15, 2020, she asked her fans to make donations to the UNHCR agency to deal with COVID-19 pandemic because refugees are the most vulnerable on this planet and they often live in crowded places with limited health services. In the same month, she was part of a television special called Home Fest on The Late Late Show with James Corden from his garage with the goal of raising money for CDC and Feed the Children, where she performed her song, Don't Start Now, 2019, from an apartment in London. On May 16, 2020, she did a live performance of her song Break My Heart, 2020, on the television special Graduate Together. America honors the high school class of 2020 aimed at the high school students whose graduation ceremonies and proms were cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. At the end of May 2020, she participated in a digital event called Dream With Us with the aim of raising funds, whose event consisted of a streaming concert at which a portion of proceeds would go to organizations which help fight COVID-19. She took part in a charitable project operated by BBC Radio 1 for a cover version of Times Like These released on April 23, 2020 for the Live Lounge segment. She was part of the charity supergroup Live Lounge All-Stars, in which each member recorded and filmed their contribution to the song from their respective households to encourage social distancing, in which profits from the single would primarily go to children in need and comic relief, as well as COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund. She used social media to encourage Lebanese citizens to donate blood to victims affected by the 2020 Beirut explosion. She donated €5,000 to the Theatre of Dodona so that the venue could have its own ticket system and website. She was part of an initiative organized by Belgian singer Angélie and Kick Cancer Foundation to fund research against childhood cancer. And it was about a charity raffle in which Lipa offered a manuscript of her song Don't Start Now, 2019, as a prize. She performed at 2021 Elton John AIDS Foundation Academy Award party virtually to benefit the AIDS Foundation to combat HIV disease, whose event raised $3 million.